morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Ethan and Jenna Show. I'm your host, Ethan, and alongside me is Jenna Belk. Jenna, how are you?
Well, just trying to stop crying. So,
Do you want to talk about it?
it's funny. A commercial with a baby smiling will make me cry. So we can talk about it if that's something you want to talk about. But
Yeah, because I think you got a little surprise last night, and we were just talking about it. So, for those that don't know, Oz from the Atheist Roundtable put together a raffle to guess when Jenna Belk will be having her baby, and it's $10 $10 a ticket.
a minimum $10 donation.
And if you get the date right, you get 10% of the takeaway, but the other 90% is going directly to Jenna Belk. Oz from the Atheist Roundtable, man, he walks the walk. Like he
Yeah.
doesn't just talk about, doing good things on the air. He does them. He cares. He is such a fucking generous individual. Like,
Yeah.
One day I reached out to him and had some questions about audio equipment for Dave Warnock. And he's like, oh, Dave needs equipment. He's like, let me get it together and I'll send him some. Sent Dave a expensive mic and headphones. So now Dave Warnock has like a really good setup. Like Oz is a great fucking dude that does what he can to help people within this community.
Yeah, I'm so incredibly grateful. Oh yeah.
So we were having an emotional moment backstage, and then also I received so if you look at our channel, Jenna and I just posted our unaired pilot episode of the Ethan and Jenna Show. It was something at the time I was going through some mental health stuff, and I had to turn myself into a facility, but I wasn't prepared for that to be on YouTube. And I was hoping still to find a way to help some people with it. Well, we just uploaded it to our YouTube channel. So if you're interested in checking out the pilot episode of how this kind of got started, take a look. It might be triggering to some. It's an intense topic, but some of you may enjoy it. Anyways, as a result of that video, we got an incredibly kind message that made us both a little emotional backstage. So we had to continue talking before we could go live.
My face is probably still a little blotchy, so. But yeah, mental health and skepticism.
Yeah, that's when you had first said mental health and skepticism, I was like, I never thought about that. And
Well, the reason, go ahead.
And how does our skepticism impact our mental health? Like I've learned that my skepticism is now impacting my humor, but I also think it has been instrumental in my mental health as a person and mental development. And for example, like about a year ago, I had like gone on a couple dates with somebody, and I forgot where I'm going with this. We talked about dating and other things, and we stopped talking for a while. And then recently we started talking, and she had asked me a question about dating, and I went into this long thing, breaking things down. And she's like, oh, I forgot you get overcomplicate everything. And now, I think it's now gotten worse. And I'm just like, you know what? That actually makes me happy. If I have, like, it made me realize how much I've grown as a skeptic and my ability to talk about more complicated topics and review them with a skeptic's lens and be able to break these things down a little bit more. I don't really know where I was going with that, but it was just nice to know that, like, I really felt in that moment while her comment was negative, that I realized how much I had grown, just being around people like you, Kenneth, Leonard, Puck, best name, who constantly like put things into perspective that I haven't even thought about, or bring out a whole new angle to it where I'm like, whoa, like you just opened my mind so much and have made me a much better skeptic.
So it sounds like you your mental health has been improved by skepticism.
Yes, absolutely.
Where
Because
most people, I think, would assume the opposite.
additionally, let me try and think of a way to explain this. When I was more right leaning and Christian, while I was still like a goofy dude, I would get angry and upset about more basic things like burning the flag or being if anyone spoke out against the police, they were anti-police, anti-American, and I was in this constant like attack everything mode. And like even conversations, I'd be like, oh, you're just being anti-American. Whereas now I don't have that trigger so much. I'm much calmer. I'm able to talk about these topics. I don't get frustrated as easy. So skepticism has really improved my mental health. Because when I was a Republican, a lot of it was based on fear. I'm not saying other people voting Republican is based on fear. I'm saying me specific. Like a lot of I had unrealistic fears of everything. The fear of socialism, the fear of communism. Kind of like right now, I had a family member express how she feels that because of her conservative views, she's now in danger and going to be attacked and may have to move out of the country. And I'm just like, what? Like, no, you won't. And I can only imagine if I hadn't learned better critical thinking skills, I might be in that state of fear and anxiety. Like, oh my God, the president, he's going to take away my rights. I got to get out of here. So yeah, skepticism has in so many ways. I used to say becoming an atheist saved my life, and in many ways it did. But I think a better thing to say would be becoming a skeptic saved my life and my mind.
Well, it sounds like maybe, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe atheism freed you to find skepticism to save your life. Because I see atheism as less of a stopping point and more of a door.
Yeah. Yes. Agreed. It's like someone takes, like for me, someone all of a sudden like took the chains off my brain.
Exactly.
Like, oh, like just
Yeah.
information. Like, and I always get so excited when like someone points out something I didn't think of. Like I'll be like, oh my God, I didn't think about it from this angle. I got to like reevaluate all of this. And that for me is one of the exciting parts about being a skeptic is I just get to learn. And unlike many people, I don't get upset when I'm wrong anymore. It's not like, shit, I'm wrong, I got to dig my heels in. It's like, I didn't know that. Cool. Let's talk about this more. And let me see any other mistakes I'm making.
Well, when you live a life of shame and then you keep finding out that you're wrong about this and you're wrong about that and you're doing this wrong and you're doing that wrong and you're saying this wrong and you're saying that wrong, it just kind of adds up. At least that's how I remember it. It just made me feel worse. It made me feel dumb. It made me feel like I'm not good enough. And so I can understand that fear and that, desire to do anything that you can to get away from feeling like that and being like, well, it's just ignorance is bliss. I was just talking about this with someone. Ignorance is bliss. And it really is. I'll give it that for the ignorant. But knowledge is power. And this is something I talked to my oldest brother about. Knowledge is power. So yes, you can be ignorant and be completely unaware of all of the things burning around you. Or you can get some knowledge and try to have some kind of influence on all of the burning things around you. Yes, you may be aware of it, and yes, it may be painful, but in the end, you can see some kind of impact. I mean, to me, it seems like impact seems to be the most basic human desire, is to have some kind of impact or influence over others or over something, to create, to inspire, all of the above. Real quick, I think that it's important that we define our terms and make the distinction between skepticism and cynicism.
Yes, because so many people don't understand that there is a difference.
Exactly.
Can I want to address one comment real quick. So for those who don't know, Rick Lockhart is a good friend and a Christian. And when I had first asked some of my Christian friends to partake in that fundraiser we're putting together for recovering from religion, um, a few of them at first were hesitant, like, no. And Rick jumps in and like was like, no, we need to do this. Here's why religion can be harmful, like immediately in defense of the fundraiser, and helped encourage these other Christians to get on board with this. So Rick, and as his version of Christianity, we call it Rickianity. You're a good dude, Rick.
Much love.
You have also been instrumental in the development of my life and my mental health. Like, for instance, when I had first asked Rick to come onto my channel, I was still in debate mode. And I remember thinking like, Rick's too nice. I can't like debate him. Like, I don't want to be like, hey, you're wrong. And it was between him and Larry that really helped me realize, like, because when I first started doing this, I was trying to emulate other atheist YouTubers. I saw Talk Heathen AXP, and I'm like, okay, well, this is how atheists are. I have to act like this. And by like Rick's willingness to engage with me and his kindness helped me say, fuck it. I don't need to be right. I just need to be myself and have these conversations. And plus, if I am going to call myself a skeptic, I need to be approaching these conversations not looking for a gotcha or a haha, I'm right, but in trying to understand it, other people's views as best as possible. So,
and if you can, to help other people understand it as well.
Yes.
If you can along the way.
So Rick, you and Larry the Christian were very instrumental in the friendly atheist approach. So thank you. Now back to what? Oh, go ahead, Jenna. Sorry.
Well, so you're right. Before we move on to that, really quick, I want to address one more comment, and that is Stephanie asked, "Why are Americans so obsessed with their flag?" Now, growing up in the Bible Belt, I can say that one of the reasons, at least, I can't speak for everyone that's crazy about the flag, but I can speak for my experience in this small town I grew up in, where we were raised like in 7th grade. Our school went from 7 through 12. And so the 7th graders were responsible for putting the flag up and taking it down at the beginning of each day. You get like 3 students. And we were taught how absolutely sacred it was. You were never to let it touch the ground ever. And if you do, you have to throw it away because it has basically been tarnished. So not only was our school teaching us those kinds of things, but when you're raised in an environment where everything that you do is based off of tradition and symbolism, the cross, right. The flag becomes like the representation. It becomes like the symbol of America. And so if you were to burn a cross, that says something, that speaks a message to somebody who holds that as one of the most important symbols. That you understand what I'm saying? Is there's undertones to it. And when they put this love for this symbol, it's what they believe is the representation of their love for what that symbol symbolizes. So their country or their religion or whatever. So, okay. So sorry, did you want to say something to that?
Yeah. Regarding like the flag, I was, constantly, I was obsessed with the American flag, and I remember people pointing out like to me, like, dude, it's a flag. And I'm like, no, it's not. It stands for the bravery of the men and women that died, and you will respect the flag. Like, I was one of those people that thought people who burnt the flag or walked on it should be jailed. Like, just nope, that's right. Not freedom. That's an attack on freedom. So and the problem is, though, like, I used to say I was an idiot, but no, I wasn't an idiot. I just didn't have the critical thinking skills and understand how to properly evaluate it. It was all reactionary. So,
I would even go further. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think maybe even not. It's not that you didn't have them. It's more that you hadn't been exposed yet to this kind of critical thinking skills. Is that right?
Yeah.
It's less about lacking, and less about, and more about like lacking materials and or whatever, and more about lacking exposure.
Yeah, I relate critical thinking skills to give an analogy here, like a computer. So, um, if you get a like brand new Windows computer, and it comes with Microsoft Paint, which doesn't have all the tools that Adobe Photoshop has, and then you ask someone to make you something in Paint, it's not going to be as detailed as I'm butchering this analogy. Point being, like, those skills need to be developed or installed. And because while I was always someone to ask why, I didn't understand critical thinking and just, how do I explain this? Like,
Okay.
take belief, don't go off your emotions, ask yourself why you believe it, and then look to see if that belief holds up to the evidence or is proportionate to the evidence. And if it's not, then you should let that belief go.
Well, so I guess that kind of brings us to our definitions of skepticism versus cynicism. And I looked it up, and basically the difference is that skepticism is positive and cynicism is negative. That's the basic difference. The first thing that comes up, difference between .NET and language, words, all that. It says, as you can see from the above examples, it's got some images if you want to go look it up. Skepticism is more of a positive phenomenon. Cynicism is more of a negative concept. Skepticism is an open-minded way of thinking about things. Cynicism, on the other hand, is closed-minded because it is often a quick reaction or immediate belief that someone is being dishonest. So it's the assumption that something is wrong before investigation. Skepticism is holding back on making a judgment and trying to remain as neutral as possible until there's a reason to make a judgment.
So I typically refer to it as negative skepticism. Is that okay to use, or should I switch and make the distinguishing, call it?
I think that it would be helpful in conversation, even if it's just somebody's like, oh, well, isn't that the same thing? And you get the opportunity to explain the difference.
Yeah, I think I've seen so many people within our community that are these negative skeptics or cynics, where it's like, and I always get confused, but my biggest pet peeve is when they assume or assign intent to somebody. Um, for example, I found myself in a situation where somebody said something deplorable, and immediately I was like, my heart's pounding. I'm like, I can't stay. This is bullshit. And I was pissed. But then I took a few things into account. One, this person wasn't as knowledgeable, and I'm not saying smart as, just knowledgeable as me in this particular area. And two, there was a slight language barrier. So I'm like, okay, I have to factor this in. So I calmed myself down and I started kind of poking and prodding, and I got to what she actually meant. And when I had explained to her what she said, she was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. That's not what I meant. That's horrible." Had I been one of these negative skeptics or cynics, I would have launched into attack mode, deemed her a dangerous, hateful person, and just been done. But the fact that I took a second to evaluate the situation with an open mind got me to the truth, because people misspeak all the time. It's like me, I'm not as knowledgeable with language and lingo, and sometimes I use terms loosely. Um, and I'm always looking for ways to improve that, but I still make mistakes. And it's important that if you hear me make a mistake, hey, did you mean it like this? Because that's how it sounded. Am I just rambling now?
No,
I
no, I'm
hope.
sorry. I was responding to Oz in the chat. Anyway, I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. So the biggest thing I always say to people is, if you see somebody say something offensive,
Oh,
before
yeah.
you lash out, just say, hey, it looks like you're saying this. Is this what you meant? That is skepticism, not going after them and, assuming they're just shitty people.
Yeah, I had mentioned it to you before, but a term that I had learned from Eric Murphy pretty quick coming into the community was charitable listening.
Yep.
Being
That
a charitable listener, not assuming the worst in someone. Now, I understand if you're growing up in this environment where people are constantly attacking you. I don't know your situation. If you need to be on the defense, maybe you do. I don't know. Um,
well,
but in general, I would say most of us, at least I, have been on the defense long after leaving any kind of danger zone and have been defensive unnecessarily and cynical, assuming the worst in atheists because I'd heard some bad things and that made me feel like I knew enough to stay away. Um, Dunning-Kruger effect is huge.
I crap, you had said something that triggered me to want to say something. Fuck. Crap.
Well, I can talk about the Dunning-Kruger effect while you think about it.
It was right beforehand. You had just said something before you said Dunning-Kruger, and
Oh, sure. I don't remember.
Damn ADHD. It's always.
Oh, yeah. It's a hassle.
Anyways, for people watching right now, if you haven't noticed, we cover mental health each week. If there is a topic that you think, like a mental health topic no one's talking about, that you think we should, please let us know in the comments because we want to shine a light on the taboo topics or things that people typically want to avoid because mental health is important. And it's so weird going from somebody who was not a proponent of mental health and just always told people to get over it or don't be such a wuss, rub
Look on
some
the bright side.
to yeah to now being like, wow, like I was wrong. And I even look back at some of the jokes I made at the expense of people who have mental health issues, and I'm like wow. And the thing is, while what I said was deplorable and I was an asshole for saying it, the truth of the matter is I didn't know I didn't know any better. I was not intentionally or maliciously, willfully ignorant. I was just always taught that this is how it is, tough through it. Anyone who can't tough through it are just weaklings. It's that's pounded in your head. And I only wish people had been more patient with me and maybe taken the time to explain it to me early on so I could have learned the harms of some of the things I was saying.
Well, so to kind of give another perspective to add to what you're saying, this is quite a little bit off topic probably, but so I've been learning a lot about parenting, and there are actually like parenting classes these days. And so there's the Great Courses is a app that I use or a site that I use. I absolutely love the Great Courses Plus. I will promote them in any way that I can. It's basically like Netflix, but for education and taught and basically lectures by people that are passionate about the subject that they're teaching rather than just, oh, and then this is that way. And,
Right.
people who hate their life. So to me, I just learned so much better from somebody who actually cares about it.
Yeah,
But so
and
there's,
yeah,
go ahead.
and people who are enthusiastic about what they're
Exactly.
doing. Like when you hear someone get excited about it, it's like, ooh, yes, let's talk about this.
Exactly. And so there's one course that I've been listening to. I believe it's Raising Emotionally Healthy Free Thinkers or Raising Emotionally Healthy Kids or something. And it's to kind of give an idea of the concept that I think you're trying to explain and you're doing a very good job of, but just to put another way out there. If so, to kind of give a situation of a really good way to be a good parent versus the way that we may have all been raised. And so this is not me knocking my parents or saying that I was raised badly or whatever. This is just I believe that almost everyone watching this will be able to relate to me in the sense that, so say you have two kids and you've got to take the youngest kid to ballet practice and the oldest kid doesn't want to go. Typical situation, right?
Right.
Older kid doesn't want to go, and right. What do? My first instinct my experience, which I believe, again, most people will be able to relate to. Get in the car. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to hear it. Get in the car. We're going. Right?
Right.
That sounds normal.
Yeah.
Right?
Completely normal.
Another way to address the situation, and this is the thing, if you're not exposed to this other way of addressing the situation, it's very difficult to come up with this kind of thing on your own. This is the whole, we're standing on the shoulders of giants. We have to share these things because otherwise it's almost impossible to come up with stuff on your own. So one way to do it is to ask the older kid why they don't want to go.
That's what actually you taught me this a few weeks ago when we were talking about a parenting, because I had asked, like, where is the line of telling a kid you just have to do this, because you don't want to teach children. Sorry, I don't think you should teach children that they just have to always do what the adult says or force them into things. So where's that age or area where you're like, yeah, you have to do this versus you don't have to? And she had pointed out that rather than saying they have to do it, ask them why and how to solve the situation. Like, say to them, okay, I want to do this. You don't want to do this. How do we come to a happy medium? And that will teach the child like critical thinking.
Exactly. Well, and giving them an opportunity to feel like it actually matters what they want. Just doing that can make them want to comply and want to work with you, because then you're more likely to care the next time something like this happens. And so it's basic, and it just seems so like obvious to me now. But before you hear this kind of thing, it's just almost impossible to occur to you. And so ask them why they don't want to go. Give them the opportunity. Oh, well, it's boring. Okay, well, so then you have a problem. You don't want to go because it's boring. I have a problem. I can't leave you here alone because it's not safe, and I don't feel comfortable with that. And give them an opportunity to try to come up with a solution before just deciding for them. And so, yes, the thing is, this does make life more difficult and takes a lot longer than just shut up and get in the car. But in the long run, you are passing on strategies of solving problems and ways to solve problems in this kid's brain before they continue on in life. And you're making them feel like an actual person. That's one of the biggest things about being a kid is I didn't feel like I was an actual person. I felt like I was like an object to be maneuvered.
And that's where, like, with my parents, I had a lot of trouble because so to be clear, before I go into this, I know my parents did the best they could with the information available. So not, trying to just dog on them or say them negative. There was a lot of, particularly my stepdad, mentally abusive things that he had done. But not that it was okay, but I do know that he loved me very much. He does love me, and he wanted what's best for me. And he wanted me to be independent and to be able to stand up for myself. My mom taught me one of the best lessons, which was always to stand up for yourself and not let people, push you around. And that went into, I might go on a small tangent here. Like my ex-wife, I remember, like, we were talking about a month and a half ago, and I was like, hey, you're really outspoken with your political opinions now. I'm like, maybe you should like dial it back or kind of ask more questions. And you know what she said to me? She goes, you taught me to stand up for myself and speak my mind. I am not going to not stop. Yeah, I'm not going to not stand up for myself anymore. I will always do that. And that made me happy that, like, because when we got together, I would constantly be like, no, if someone does this to you, stand up to yourself, do this. Like, I would constantly implore her to be not tough through it, but set boundaries. And it was awesome knowing that that's one of the takeaways she got from our relationship, is that you need to stand up for yourself. And I forgot where I was going with this, but you look like you're about to say something.
Well, I'm sorry. I don't know where you were going with it, but it sounded to me when you were talking to her and she responded, like, y'all might have been talking about two different things. Because I think that standing up for yourself and taking a step back and evaluating a situation are two different things. And they're both necessary at different times. Standing up for yourself, absolutely stand up for yourself. I wouldn't go to the extremes, especially not right away, because the instinct of standing up for yourself can be very, very immediate and very, very reactive and very violent and dangerous at times, especially when you're a passionate person like I am. And I believe you are.
Very.
So you might be able to relate that when you feel like you're being attacked and you feel like you need to stand up for yourself, you can get very heated very quickly, correct?
Yes.
Like that's just a normal human thing to defend yourself. And it's good because that's how we got here, because we lived, our species lived long enough to survive, run away from all the animals and everything, whatever. So it makes sense. But we've developed a part of our brain, a prefrontal cortex, that is used to override that when necessary. Right. So to think about, and I'm sorry, I'm not a psychologist. I'm just fascinated by the subject, and I've just done a lot of research on my own.
Real quick, for those, we are supposed to have now 2 guests next week, both psych majors. For those of you who don't know, Daniel Fisk Bennett and Andrew Hall will be our guests on next week's episode. Sorry, but continue. We're not.
But so I guess this kind of brings us back to skepticism. Skepticism is, and I believe, used in that part of the brain, because that's your logic thinking, your reasoning part of your brain. And it's the amygdala, it's the adrenaline, the responsive part of your brain that's kind of instinctive. And so it's about reasoning and being skeptical so that you can try to intentionally determine how to react and how is the best way to stand up for yourself, and what is the situation actually, because so much of the time we hear about something that happened and you only get a very small fraction of what is actually happening. I always say there's 3 sides to every story. There's what you think, what I think, and then what actually happened.
Yep. Truth.
So that's why skepticism can come in handy to even defending yourself, because you could be wrong. Like you said, when you're on that date with that woman and she said something incorrectly, you could have gone into defense mode and stood up for yourself in a very intense way, or been a skeptic, right? So that's the thing is, I guess this is the thing about joining this community. And it's not necessarily the atheist community even, but the skeptic community. It's so hard to have to learn how to make all of your own decisions.
Not reliant on anything and anybody else to
not have to. What I used to do is I would collect people. Okay, when I have a question about this, I can go to this person. When I have a question about this, I can go to this person, and that person can tell me what to do. Right? That person can tell me what the right thing to do is. But now that I've stopped putting so much weight and so much extreme trust in other people, and realizing that every person on this planet is fallible, and every person on this planet at all times is wrong about something, that kind of put things into perspective. And I was like, okay, well, maybe my brain is good enough to get me by. So maybe I can learn a little bit about this and a little bit about that, and still talk with those people who are more informed, but find more people in each group and try to develop my own brain and be skeptic on my own so that I can make decisions for myself. That's what this is ultimately about, I think, is learning how to do the right thing. And the only way you can do that is if you're sure that the situation requires whatever action you're trying to put to it. And the only way you can do that is if you're correctly evaluating it.
And being okay with admitting when you're wrong. I know that can be difficult at times, but it's how you learn and grow.
If that's the thing is, I've come to really love that feeling.
Of being wrong?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's an opportunity to grow. It's like, okay, I was thinking this for this long. I mean, there's times occasionally where I'll actually start like writing a response, and I'll feel that it is I don't want to say an emotional reply, but it'll be something that
Mhm.
I'm parroting. And then before I finish it, I'm like, whoa, wait a second. How do I know this to be true? I heard this, but do I know? So then immediately I stop the comment and I go look into finding out if it's true or not.
Yeah.
So there's nothing. Be happy when you can admit you're wrong.
Well, but it's not, it's now you're not wrong anymore
Well, that's
about
not.
that.
Oh, wrong about that.
You can
Yes.
be upset and beat yourself up for having been wrong. But guess what? You're still wrong about something else you just don't know about yet. So you could
Right.
be upset about that, but don't be upset about being right about this now. You know?
No. Real quick, I want to let everyone know, we if you are interested in becoming a patron, the link is in the description. I would like to thank our current patrons, which I don't have that up. Give me like 1 second to grab it. But we're doing something a little bit differently here. The Patreon is not all going to us. We will be giving a portion back to recovering from religion, correct? Or was it?
Well,
Correct.
portion to recovering from religion, and then a
And
portion to
then
someone else. And I've been thinking, and I'm thinking, I we'll have to talk about this obviously, and we'll have to throw out ideas. But I'm thinking like some kind of like homeless shelter or something like that.
well, yeah, and then the other thing we wanted to do was give a portion back to the audience as well, like maybe raffle something off or, give a gift card away. We wanna make sure we're giving back to the community as best as possible, and
Hmm.
you can contribute for as little as $1 a month. And hey, if you can't contribute, no problem. What you could do is share our channel because mental health is important. Jenna and myself have worked very hard to get mental health at the forefront of these conversations, and there are great people helping us with this, like Oz from the Atheist Roundtable and Kenneth, like best name people who see this as such an important topic. So if you could share our channel, maybe pick out your favorite video, share that, help us reach more people.
And if you think that you can do it better, I encourage you to do it because we could use a lot more of it. I think that there's an unending need for voices on mental health experiences because every experience of every disorder or of every side effect, whatever, everyone's different. And I think that it is important that everyone at least get a chance to speak up. Please call us, tell us. But yeah, I'm all about promoting just the general concept in, all over. Just please talk about mental health because they haven't been talking about it for generations. We have
Yeah.
a lot to catching up to do.
And since doing this, we have gotten so many messages from different people saying how this show has helped them or how they don't feel alone anymore after seeing that. And I think it's important because there are times where I would feel alone. Like I'm like nobody feels like the way I do. And then hearing other people's experiences, it's like, wow, I'm really not alone. There are other people who have these same struggles. So, to the people watching, be a voice, get out there. Call us, share your experiences or your thoughts on the matter. The 708-554-7836. Or if you have a mental health topic that you want us to cover, let us know. One Jenna and I, I'm trying to remember, someone just reached out to us. Blaster Masters partner reached out to us and talked about the importance of mental health or dealing with mental health as a partner. So, for instance, if I'm dating someone with severe mental health issues, how do I best support them? So that is a topic we'll
Yeah.
be covering soon. I think one of the best advice I could give would be to just be as patient and understanding. As someone who suffers from anxiety, I know there were times like when I would fight for my former partner, if she was anxious or I was, we'd be more quick to, snap. And I always find while, it could be quick and easy to snap back. The best thing I could do is just shut my mouth, be like, "Hey, yeah, well, I listened to it. Okay, I'm sorry you're feeling like this," and then talk about it and address it later when we're calm.
Well, it's hard to do that so say you both have mental health problems, right? And both of you are triggered in different ways by different things. And when you're both triggered, what do? Right? And so the thing is that it's very important that you try to work with your partner and try to identify each other's triggers so that you can stop hurting each other assuming the best in each other. So that's the thing. So many times people use this as like an example of why theism is real. And they'll say like, well, do you have evidence that your partner loves you? I absolutely have evidence that my partner loves me. I can explain the things that he does daily without me asking. I can explain the way that he looks at me, the way that we cuddle. I can explain so many different things. I have so much evidence, and for years consistently, that it is undeniable to me that he loves me more than anything. And so it is my job when I get triggered and I feel like he's attacking me to assume the best. So that would be my advice.
Right.
Is after being accurately, as accurately as you can, determining whether your partner is actually good for you or not. That's the very difficult thing to do. But after you become sure that they are, then it's the hardest thing to always assume the best in them. Because if you think about it, like I think about it, no matter what the conversation is, even if I'm triggered, I'm still trying to solve it. I'm trying to help us, and not just me, but us. And I want him to assume that in me. I want him to know that about me.
Right.
And the best way to show him that that's possible is to believe that he can do that too, that he can love me that way.
Right. One of the things I wanted to touch base on earlier, which you just reminded me of, is how seeing not just being a skeptic, but how seeing in the best in people, or trying to see the best in people, has been instrumental in my happiness. Because when you assume the worst, it automatically puts you into a negative mentality. Whereas if you look for and assume the best in people, it makes conversations with them way easier. It doesn't, for me, I don't get like triggered as easy. It has been such a benefit. And I know at times some people view it as naivete, but the thing is, that assumption that being kind or trying to see the best in people is naive is wrong. I did at some point see the worst in people, and constantly it was just like waiting for people to make mistakes, or to look, you did this, or you did, like always looking at the worst, and that destroyed me. Like it gave me such a bad outlook. I wasn't happy, and I was just crabby over everything. Where now that I give people a chance, it feels better, and people respond better rather than quickly lashing out at them and it escalating a situation. We could end up resolving a conflict before it happens. And that's one area where I am immensely proud of myself is conflict resolution, or the ability to de-escalate, not just like arguments, but physical fights. And I don't know, it's one thing I take pride in, and I'm always really happy with, is how I can prevent fights from happening.
Well, so I don't know. So as you started out, it's kind of sounded like you're promoting skepticism and at the same time promoting not being skeptical about other people's intentions. But then after listening, it sounds like I think you're absolutely right, because what it's about is measuring and being a skeptic, but measuring the times that you're wrong about someone's intentions. And that just affirms constantly
Right.
how many more times somebody means well than that one person that means harm. And so, yes, chances are, if I open myself up and assume the best in everyone in general, chances are I will get hurt every now and then.
Yeah.
Statistically, you will get hurt by someone, right?
Yeah.
But granted, I did not look that up. That is not proven information. But it's just from my experience. But anyway, if you live your life assuming, kind of like what Ethan said, assuming the worst in everyone, then you'll never have any of those good experiences. You'll never trust anyone. You'll miss out on so many relationships and so many good opportunities to experience with people because you're busy assuming that they're coming to get you because of that very small percentage of people that are.
Damn it, you had said something that triggered something. I hate when that happens. I had a point, mother.
Well, we've got a couple callers.
Oh, we do. Get me. I want to remember this stupid thought about seeing the best in people. And yeah. Here's a prime example. I made a video about a week ago on what I consider is intellectual bullying, and I had sent it to a couple people, and Jenna and someone else gave me some feedback up there, like, okay, I know, your intentions are good here, but part of your message is coming out like this. And when they said that, I was like, whoa. And if I would have, published or released that video, I could have gotten a lot of flack, because even though for people who know me and know my intentions are good, they saw it as a good video. But if someone doesn't know me, they could have seen, like, Jenna pointed out so many things that I was like, I didn't think about that, so I need to redo it to convey my message. But yeah, that could have been a scenario where, for those that don't know me, would assume the absolute, like, the worst and think I was being an asshole.
And you could cause harm unintentionally to other people.
Right. And that's not what I want to do. I want to help people.
But you were a skeptic, and you wanted to make sure that you were conveying the message that you were trying to, and good things came from that.
Yeah.
Right.
So I will be redoing the video, and hopefully, getting it out, because I think intellectual bullying is an important topic that nobody seems to talk about. And I would like to see more people having this conversation, because it is a thing. I don't, to quote Captain America, I don't like bullies, and I don't like any kind of bullying, whether it be physical or mental.
Yeah, we could go off about that.
Yes.
We're going to have to do a stream on just mental health and bullying.
Oh, dude, let's do that, because I have a lot of experience in that area, because
I do too.
I was bullied.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, one of the hardest things for me was constantly having to, I'm trying to think of the best way to word this. So I'm a straight cisgender dude. But I would constantly have to reaffirm to people that, like, almost like prove that I was straight, because of my flamboyant nature and goofiness, or unwillingness to just take some random girl at the bar home. It was, well, wait, aren't you gay? Like, and it caused me my own struggles, because, and it would, like, I can't tell you how many times, like, people would call, like, I just got this the other day. I posted a picture. Did you see that picture of me in the gold booty shorts?
Oh, the spandex underwear.
Yeah. So I decided I got gold little spandex and a gold hat, and posed, like, basically almost naked out there. And I, of course, got a message asking, because I did that, well, are you gay? And it's like, straight people do this goofy shit too. Like, don't assume. So anyways,
But that person probably genuinely doesn't know.
Right. They don't. And
they're confused, because all that they had ever seen is gay people doing that. And it's confusing. Wait, are straight people allowed to do that too? Maybe they would like to wear shorts like that, and they'd feel like they would be judged.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks having to justify your own existence, and when people don't believe you. Like, when I've had conversations, people are like, well, I don't believe it. You're gay to me. And I'm just like, I'm literally telling you I'm straight. Now, imagine if that was the struggle for me. I can't even imagine how the struggles the LGBTQIA community has to go through, and what they have to deal with and how they're treated. It's like, this was a struggle for me, so I can't even fathom how difficult it is for some of them, particularly when people will walk around and be like, "Well, I'm just gonna call you, by the way you look. I'm not going to ask you what your pronoun is. I shouldn't have to." It's like, I can't imagine how difficult it is having to tirelessly tell people, like, I identify as this. Like,
So I hated that kind of stereotype so much that in 7th grade, I started wearing like all black nail polish, black wristbands, had long hair, dark, and it was always in my face, a long black hoodie. Like I was always wearing black. But once you talked to me and said hi, I was the bubbliest, most energetic person that you could meet. And I loved the reaction that I got. People would be shocked, like that. Well, aren't you supposed to be like all gloomy and like negative and angry all the time because you're wearing black?
right. Well,
No, I can wear black because I liked this style. I liked purple and black, and I just liked the way it looked. And I loved that my personality didn't match it because I had this opportunity to go and break some stereotypes.
yes. And, I don't know, I'm older than I look, but I was around during the time when, anything Gothic was linked to being a Satan worshiper. I even had, my parents restrict me on some of the clothes I could wear because, obviously we don't wanna be part of a satanic cult, and that after Columbine, that made it way worse. We were no longer allowed to wear leather coats. Anything associated to like Gothic or dark looks at that time, people would be like, "Oh, this guy is gonna shoot the place up." Like, everything got attributed to that, and it's like, no, this is just a means of expression, like these shirts. The reason I like these shirts is because I believe they represent who I am as a person. I'm goofy, I'm colorful, I'm out there. So even if I'm not talking to somebody or they don't know me, they can see this shirt and see the fun side of me. It represents me as a person.
Well, and so once again, it's more difficult to have to get to know someone before judging them.
It is, but
Yes, that is
you
harder. It
and
takes longer. It takes more energy. It takes effort. So you can't have necessarily as big of a circle as you think you have. Because if you start to get to know everyone, yes, again, that takes time and energy. And so but you'll actually get to know people, and your stigmas, God, they'll just start disappearing. At least they did for me. I can't speak for anyone else, but they did for me. And it just promoted again the skepticism, because I've been wrong about people enough, and you're kind of assuming the best, because that's what I have found is every time I seem to assume the worst, and I find out I'm wrong. You know?
yeah, and that's like, if you always assume the worst, you're gonna be, not, in my opinion, you'll be less happy. Whereas if you assume the best, and well, there's an important distinction here. You can be assume the best while still preparing for the worst. For instance, if I think somebody might lie to me, I can still say, you know what? Hey, I'm still going to go with this. I'll protect and prepare myself, but I'm going to hope that they're not going to lie to me.
Well, but more than hope, that's the thing is, I do you, when you use the word hope, do you use that the way that, and Christians in general use the word faith, or do you use that as like a measured, I've decided that this is worth hope kind of thing?
It's funny you mentioned that because I put some thought into that and trying to figure out if I equate hope to faith, and I would say yes and no. In some situations, like for instance, Jenna, has proven to me that she's usually going to do the right thing. Obviously, right being subjective, but good thing. So I have the hope I have for her that she will continue to do that is based on past evidence, so I don't really doubt it. But
Right.
there are times where I'll be talking with someone and I'm like, this, I know this person is lying to me right now. There's something off, but you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. I guess in those situations, it's more faith and less evidence based. So I would say it's entirely situational.
Okay, that's fair. I want to address something really quickly. Jenna says, quote, then you get to know people like it's a good thing. She must be significantly more extroverted than me. I'm actually significantly introverted. Extroverted isn't liking people. Just so I think this is important. I know, again, this is off topic. But extroversion isn't liking people, and introversion isn't disliking people. It's that extroverted people gain energy from being around other people. They fuel their energy from others. They, like, if they get a group of people around them, then they hype up. Introverted people it takes more effort to be around people, and so it can drain you of energy, and so you can tend to need less time in big groups. That is what introversion and extroversion is. It doesn't mean that I don't like people.
And I also think, and I don't know if there's a term for it when you're a combination of an extrovert and an introvert, because for one, you put me, so the only time I have always like felt myself, or the first time I ever truly felt myself, was when I stepped on stage. Because as I had said earlier, most of my life, whenever I wanted to do goofy things or just like dance, it was this negative assumption that I was gay or there was something wrong with me. And so my personality got more and more put in a box because it would be, girlfriends or bosses, everyone like, well, why do you act like this? Normal men don't act like this. And it would be very hard where I'm just like, okay, what's wrong with me? Am I fucking broken? Because shit, I would hear it all the time, especially in my 20s. And it would, make me feel like I just couldn't be myself. And it sucked so much. And so when I first stepped on stage and people were cheering me on, that was the first time I ever felt accepted as myself. And thus I became like obsessed or so into being on stage because it was the one time where all of a sudden my goofiness was a good thing and not a bad thing or weird thing. And that's also like why I love this YouTube, because I feel like I get to just go on camera and be myself. But I still have that, I don't want to say indoctrination or issues, because when I'm like, say, around somebody like I don't really know or in a small group, I go from extrovert to introvert because I still have that thing in my head that there's something wrong with you. Make sure you don't act a certain way. And it's been a struggle I've had to deal with my entire life. So if you do ever meet me, like say at Faithless Forum, please know you're most likely not going to see the bubbly, upbeat person. I get social anxiety. I get uncomfortable. Now, on the flip side, when you see me on stage, you'll see the bubbliness. But off stage, I'm not always like that. It's very difficult for me to just be myself and let loose because I was so used to being told there was something wrong with me. So if you do meet me in person, please don't think I'm not myself. It's just it's different, and social anxiety plays a huge role in it. Like right now, this is easy for me because I am in my safe space. There's nobody here. I'm just looking at a camera. But if you put somebody in this room, you'd see me clam up a little bit.
That's very, very interesting. I'd like to make a point.
Yes, please.
I don't think we need to identify ourselves as a blanket extrovert or a blanket introvert. I can tell you right now that if we go to Faithless Forum, I have no idea whether I will be happy and bubbly and energetic or more withdrawn and timid and shy.
Same.
That it completely depends on the minute, the day, you know, the situation, who you are, and it could have nothing to do with you. It could be everything to do with my experience with people that wear the same shirt that you're wearing right now. So it can have absolutely nothing to do with you. But what I ask is that these words are used to try to help. They're supposed to be tools to help us understand each other, not to put us in boxes. And that's what I kept trying to do growing up, was I kept trying to figure out which boxes I'm in. And the problem is that I'm in so many different boxes depending on the day that I could just never identify myself. And I think that it's important that for those of us who don't have a typical reaction, you know, a typical response to things, that's okay. It is not your job to, you know, condition yourself to be predictable
No.
for other people.
And fuck predictivity.
Predictability.
What yeah, screw I dislike societal norms of all
Me
types.
too. Ugh.
And that's why.
I hate that word proper.
Yes. Like,
Ugh.
screw that. Like, I don't care. And, I, someone made an interesting point about my personality. They go, do you know, for some odd reason, you are completely politically incorrect while still being politically correct? Like, that's an interesting point, because I do the off the wall stuff that normal people don't do, but I'm still respectful of other people's boundaries and wishes. And I don't go,
sorry.
and I don't go like off the deep end outside of the goofy fun side.
I think that makes you politically correct while breaking social norms.
There we go. I like that. That'll politically incorrect while breaking down the walls of societal norms.
Yeah.
Because societal norms screwed me up for most of my life. And,
they try to force you into boxes.
Right. And it's like,
many of us don't belong in one or two boxes.
No, I don't belong in a box. I know I don't. Like, and I want to always be able to embrace that. And I always want to be myself. And, my friend, Holly, right, Jenna? Someone I used to co-host the Table for Two with, she was instrumental in 2020 in just encouraging me to be myself. Like, when we started hanging out, and like, she'd be, come on, just do it. Be you. Like, who cares what everyone thinks? And she helped me build my confidence as a person again. And for that, I'm grateful.
Yay.
Fuck boxes. Should we take our caller?
I think so.
All right.
Sorry it took so long, Jesse. We kind of went on several tangents there.
Yeah, we were just having a really good conversation.
I agree.
I heard them all. I got a lot to say about a lot of them. However, I've probably forgotten them all.
Oh.
Because of my mental health condition here.
I've started taking notes.
Well, yeah, go ahead, Jesse. Go ahead and pick of the several things you wanted to touch base on. Pick one. Like, what was your favorite that you wanted to talk about?
First and foremost, Ethan, you kicked ass on Talk Heathen last week.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You were excellent. You were so good. I knew that you were. I could tell you were nervous. Well, I couldn't tell you were nervous. I knew that you'd be nervous.
Right. I was terrified.
Just because you were saying, what's that?
I was terrified, but it was, dude, I have gotten so many kind messages since doing Talk Heathen, and I was looking at the comments on the videos, and I'm like, wow, like, this is, I was scared to let people down, and I don't think I did, and I'm really happy with
not at all
how it went. So thank you, Jesse.
Not at all. Not at all. You were fantastic. And oh geez, I just as far as skepticism and mental health goes, when I first saw what the show was about, I was like, what the hell? I mean, that doesn't mean anything. It's kind of a loser topic. And then I started really thinking about it. I'm like, it's probably one of the most important things that I've, to me, it's probably one of the most important things because I use it all the time. As a matter of fact, I came very close. My life probably could have been ruined had I not, learned that. Because I was I was engaged to someone about maybe a little over 20 years ago in the late 90s, I'll say.
Okay.
And she was a quote recovering heroin addict with 3 teenagers, and we were all living together. And she was very manipulative.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and she would like there were like a lot of times where she just would like take over, and I, like I was saying before, I would always try and see the best in people, and I always would try to see the best in her, and as much she took to that, she would take a lot of big time advantage of that, and kind of pretty much clear me out of the money as much as she could anyway.
Ooh.
And
may I step in real quick?
Yeah.
Or do you have a lot more to say?
No, that's okay. What were you gonna say?
Well, I want to bring up, you say that she was a heroin addict and was not trustworthy, and that you tried to see the best in her. I beg that anyone who is dealing with any kind of addict, alcoholic, anything like that, that you understand that that person, when they're using, is not accurately representing themselves. They are representing an addict. And so it is correct and safe to be skeptical before trusting somebody who is using inappropriately, because that person isn't necessarily, does that make sense?
She was recovering though. She was going to a methadone clinic, and she was getting off of it though. That's why, that's why I was giving her a chance.
That's why.
My parents were alcoholics, or no, I come from one of my parents was an alcoholic, and I know all about the AA 12-step thing and all that. So I was very I know a lot about the whole addiction thing and about trying to make yourself better, and that's why I was very supportive about that. But
it's not guaranteed.
What? Well, I'm sorry.
It's not guaranteed, and a lot of people have to go through the program several times before it works.
I real quick,
Yeah,
Jesse,
I know.
I wanted to touch base on something you said when my former partner and I were first talking about divorce. This goes into a skepticism thing. There were people close to me, particularly someone I had known for 15 years, who's like, "You've got to protect yourself now. Don't give her a penny. Shut down your bank account. Get a lawyer involved." And I'm like, no, I don't need to do that. We're going to be fine. Nope. You're going to regret it if you don't listen to me. Divorce is always nasty. And I'm like, whatever you say. And he was insistent. And even some of our family members were like, get away, both hers and mine. And both of us refused to listen to them. And I remember one time in particular, I had said to her, hey, your stepdad is really egging things on. I'm like, do I have to worry about myself? And she was like, fuck no. She's like, you think I'm going to listen to him? And I was like, okay, we're good. But so many people brought their past baggage into the situation and just assumed that divorce is therefore nasty. And it's like, we ignored it. We didn't listen to any of that. And we solved the problem by talking to each other.
But the fact is that it sounds like maybe Jesse might have, had that small chance, that unfortunate, being burned, that it happens. Well, I don't even know it's necessarily a small chance. I think that when you think about how many people you interact with over time, chances are you're going to burn people too. And I don't think that necessarily makes you an untrustworthy or bad person. I think that means that relationship didn't go well.
Right.
Please
Jesse,
continue,
sorry.
Jesse. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead to finish your point.
Well, basically, well, I had the help of my parents to get me out of that. They basically helped me get an exorcist, and by that I mean restraining order. And it was just a really bad situation, but basically I've become a real skeptic ever since. I mean, especially since then, and it's really helped me out a lot. Skepticism, I mean, really. And then I started, ever since in like 2014, I first started watching the Atheist Experience, and then I've learned so much from just from watching all of you guys about skepticism, and it's helped me out tremendously. I mean, it still does. Like when I'm doing stuff and like online and things like that, when people are just like, when I'm doing deals or deals, right? When I'm like making purchases and stuff like that, when they want, my social security number, I'm like, nope, not at all. I've had that happen a couple of times very recently, where they wanted, certain information from me that a lot of people would just give them without even thinking about it. Now, and the thing is, I'm very gullible a lot of the times. I kind of think of myself as gullible because, like you were saying, Ethan, it's kind of like I just see the best in people.
Right.
And
I don't know that makes you gullible.
Yeah, you can, as I said earlier, so that you can see the best in people while still preparing or being aware of the potential negatives that could come with that.
Yeah, when you were talking about the whole naive thing before, I was really relating to that. But yeah, just preparing, exactly. That's what skepticism, that's why that's come in. And that's when I realized how important that was to my mental health, because I'm always like that. And that's why a lot of people, family members especially, have complimented me on that. They say, you're really good not to have done that. And, so it's really saved me.
Good.
Yeah.
Anyways, Jesse, we got to wrap up in a moment, but I wanted to thank you for calling in and sharing your thoughts with us.
Yeah, thank you. I can totally relate on the feeling gullible, being I've been called naive pretty much my whole life. And I don't think that I was necessarily naive. I think that I wanted truth. I think that I wanted to know answers and not make these assumptions that everybody else, it turns out, was making.
Exactly. Yeah, I've been.
Hey, sorry.
I mean, like your thing would
hey,
have
Jesse?
to ask this person or whatever. And
hey, Jesse.
Well, I've sort of been. I'm sorry. What's that?
Sorry. We have not to cut you off, but we do have to wrap it up. So thank you so much for taking the time to call in.
Okay, no problem. Have a great day, people.
You too.
Thanks, Jesse.
All right, we got one more caller. Only got a few minutes left, but I would like to welcome Oz from the Atheist Roundtable. Oz, what's up?
Hey.
What's up, beautiful people?
What's up? How are you?
You're beautiful.
I'm feeling good. And if you hear a ding in the background, I am driving. And I have to replace my whatever the hell it's called. But anyway, you'll hear a beep, but I'm getting ready to park, so you don't have to hear it. But I wanted to call in real quick because I know it's mental health and skepticism.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing for me where skepticism has 100% been a relief for me when it comes to my mental health is I would spend nights, either having, not sleeping or having nightmares about what was going to happen when I died.
Right.
And where I was going to go, where was I going to end up? And through skepticism and now being able to say two, I think, very, very valuable things, which is one, I don't know. And I can only try to control what is in front of me right now and what I can control,
right.
If I can control it at all. But I never had that. I never had that thought process, never had that mentality before, because everything was supposed to be in God's hands. And it was like, well, I don't what does that mean? Am I going to hell? Am I going to heaven? And that caused me a lot of anxiety, which through my deconstruction process, actually had to go seek therapy for. So now through skepticism, it's like, you know what? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. And it's okay to say I don't know, because I don't even know if God's real.
Right.
I don't even know if heaven's real. So through that, that's taking a huge burden off, my shoulders, so to speak, when it comes to mental health.
Awesome. So, I actually thought starting this out that we were going to end up talking about how much harder skepticism has made our lives because of how much harder we have to work. And, it's you can't just blindly trust people and, all these things. And I love that I was wrong.
And to what you guys said earlier, that I think, my opinion is that is the beautiful part of when you surround yourself with people that are true. Like when I say true, I don't mean that like in a fallacious
right.
way, but people that really do try their hardest to be a true skeptic in every facet of their life. Because like you guys said earlier, I enjoy being wrong. I enjoy being wrong now, because that means I'm learning. That means it's like, oh no, I fucked that up. Okay,
right.
So now help me learn, help me understand. So the next time I have this conversation, or next time I need to have this argument, I'm better equipped and I'm better tooled to have that. So I think that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Skepticism has definitely, it sounds like it saved your life as well, or saved your mind, not mind.
Yeah, well, it might have been both, but yeah, definitely the mind.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. For those that don't know, Oz regularly hosts the Atheist Roundtable, aka Tart. I'll put the link for his channel in the comments in one moment, but I highly recommend checking him out. They host debates, roundtables, discussions. Like, Oz, you pretty much do everything, don't you?
They have really cool segments. I love the little segments like Murder Shed Steve, and yeah, I love it. And I love that you're such a strong mental health advocate as well, Oz, you personally.
No, I appreciate it. And the kind words up top, and that it's not why I called, but I do appreciate that. And for those that want to, we for 48 hours we are taking the entries or donations, however you want to term that, for baby Belk and helping the Belk family with the coming of their new child. And so if you want to do that, all the information should be on the website. I updated it. If not, you can email me, austin@tart.life, and I'll get you the info to do that. And then Ethan, I'm pumped for February 4th, brother.
Wait, oh yeah. Speaking of February 4th, can we do a brief commercial break? All right, everyone sit tight for one moment. Check it out. February 4th, make sure you're there. As you can see, we got a shit ton of people, including Oz, and the whole Atheist Roundtable will be on our show. It's going to be a 3-hour jam-packed event with well over 30 YouTubers all involved. So I predict it is by far going to be our most viewed and most exciting stream that we have ever done. And Jenna Belk will be co-hosting the second half with Kenneth Leonard, and Hannah Vaughn and Brainbug will be hosting the first part of the show. So
it's so awesome that you keep watching it and it's like, ooh, 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 ooh. It's just like exciting over and over again.
If you could mark your calendars, go click set the reminder. I couldn't be more excited about this, but anyway, Oz, thanks. Thank you for calling in. Is there anything else you wanted to cover before we let you go?
Well, and you, real quick, you plug in that. I'm excited for that day, that evening, for two reasons. One, we get to help you in what you're doing, recovering from religion, which that in and of itself is fucking badass. But that's going to be the first time that we're going to have everyone that's on the Atheist Roundtable roster at the same place, physically at the same place, at the same time. And I'm like a little kid excited about February 4th for all of those reasons. So
yeah, it's going to be awesome. YFNA is excited to host the entire Atheist Roundtable. And one of these days, we still have to do the Atheist Roundtable on the Atheist Roundtable. But that's a story for another day.
Thanks, Oz.
Let's make that happen. I know we talked about it. Let's make that happen. But you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right.
Thank you so much again for the raffle.
All right, Jenna, we got to jet out in just one moment. So what do you have going on?
The usual. I'm live streaming my meditation every morning at 10 a.m. Central for 15 minutes. So I've had people ask how I do it, or how they should, and it's not how you should. There's a million different ways to do it, but so you can kind of hold yourself accountable to try to build a habit, or to learn how I do it. I do that, and that's on twitch.tv/Jenna Belk. And then I have Atheist Stasis is released to Patreon on Tuesdays, so a day early for patrons, and then Wednesdays it's premiered at 4 p.m. Central, and that's Atheist Stasis, where I basically try to interview people and try to learn since becoming an atheist about a balanced perspective. And then the Carrot Noises at 3:30 every Friday, where I'm painting and chilling. So you can come and join my Discord voice chat and literally chat with me while I paint for a couple hours. At the Ethan and Jenna Show, Atheist Experience. What else? I think that's it.
Yeah. All right. And then for every Tuesday on my channel, youtube.com/YFNAtheist, we host a show called The Perspective, where people call in with supernatural claims, conspiracy theories, and belief in aliens. And that's at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. This Tuesday, Martin, Robert, and Brainbug will be hosting the show. And I'm pretty excited. If you didn't see last week's episode, we had a psychic that got caught off guard by questions. And it didn't go well. Usually all our conversations remain friendly, but she got mad quick. And then every Thursday, I co-host a show with Hannah Vaughn called The Pickup Line, where we talk dating, relationships. It's just a fun, goofy show, kind of your breakaway from atheist content. And then, as you know, every Sunday, I am here with Jenna Belk. And Thursday, there will also be a debate on my channel between Dean Meadows and Jim Barrows.
Ooh.
So, and of course, Dean wants to talk about the Kalam cosmological argument, his absolute favorite.
And Jim is another one of the co-hosts on the Atheist Experience. And he actually taught philosophy Under the Influence was a program that we had going on at the ACA that I learned so much from him. So I'm excited to hear that, because they're both very, very versed in their arguments. We each have our own Patreons. So if you'd like to support us individually, that is a very helpful way. And it's a way that you can just kind of go to one place rather than go to try to find different portals. And then we also have like we had mentioned earlier, have our own Patreon for the Ethan and Jenna Show that is mostly I think a large portion of it is donated. We're donating it. We're giving back. So trying to give back that way. Have we explained yet why recovering from religion is so important?
No, but if you'd like to.
So recovering from religion is a foundation that is it. I mean, I don't work there or volunteer there, but I want to when I have time. But it's a nonprofit that was started as like a call-in, what do you call it? Place. For people who just came out of religion and don't know what to do, and they're scared and they don't know who to go to. You can call them, and the majority of the people who will answer have gone through that themselves and understand the need for it and want to give back and want to help people who have gone through it now. So the majority of the time you'll catch somebody who can completely relate to many things. Chances are. So it's a huge, oh my God, there's such a need for it. And they're so amazing and they're so helpful. Like, we get people calling the Atheist Experience all the time, and people get help from this. And it's a way that you can kind of get help without having to pay for a therapist as well. Granted, they will be clear that they're not therapists, and therapy is still recommended if you need help. But it's to find somebody that can relate to you, to find somebody who understands what you're going through.
Yeah. And then crap. Lastly, what I was going to say, and if you can't become a Patreon, that's no problem. Share our channels.
Talk about it.
Every little bit helps.
Yeah.
This does take us, a great deal of time and investment. I constantly am putting money into, what I do to make this better. And what was a little frustrating is we'll put hours into a video and, get 100 views. And then yesterday I put literally a minute and a half into a TikTok video with no thinking involved, and it already got 4,000 views. I'm just like, oh, so I guess I need to put more mindless stuff on TikTok and use that to advertise our show.
Yeah.
Anyways, I gotta go. I gotta jump over to Talk Heathen because I'm a call screener. So make sure you like and subscribe, and I hope everyone has a safe and wonderful week. Bye, everyone.
Take care.